Welcome to the Extra Podcast, a production of Northview Community Church in Abbotsford, British Columbia. Your hosts, Jeff, Ezra, and Thalia, will be discussing the Bible, relevant issues, and current events each week. At Northview, we love to study God's Word and discuss how it applies to our lives, but we try not to take ourselves too seriously. So feel free to laugh with us and at us as we try to challenge and encourage you in your faith.
Hello and welcome to the Extra Podcast. I am not Thalia. I am Sarah. I'm filling in for her. I'm a pastoral intern here at Northview, and usually we have Jeff and Ezra. Today we have Ezra and Vic. Jeff is away in Halifax, and Vic was sitting at his desk, and I thought he wants to be on the podcast.
So Vic was sitting on Jeff's desk?
No. I was sitting at my desk, sequestered probably 20 minutes before this all. So I'm totally prepped, ready to go.
Totally prepped. But that's how we roll here. That's how we do this.
There you go.
Okay. So Thalia likes to start with a question of the day. I have 5 questions of the day, but they're really fast. They're would you rather questions, and that will kind of let us know what our topic is today, okay? So, would you rather play a board game or read a book? Vic?
Oh, totally read a book. Board games, not me, no.
Oh,
Ezra?
God bless you. I will call you blessed. No
Okay.
games, no board games. Are you kidding? Reading a book.
Reading a book, okay.
But don't tell some of our friends that, though, because they love playing the board games.
Yeah,
and,
my dear wife, she'll be all
Okay,
over board
yeah.
games.
All right. Josh, what do you have to say?
I'm into board games.
All right,
Yeah.
Josh is our producer, so I might ask him a question.
And
here
Sarah,
there.
you?
I would.
Oh.
I'm really social, so the board game
Royal
would get
5
me,
right
but
now,
I love
big game
reading.
coming up. Royal 5, you
Royal
heard of that?
5.
Yeah, Darcy introduced that one to
Well,
us.
like
A board game?
Settlers of
it's a card. It's a
Catan
card
and-
game,
Oh.
right? But it's
Oh, yes, I've heard of it.
okay. Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
And-
Okay. Play golf or go fishing?
oh, golf any day.
Now, why would I hit a ball and go and look for it?
The
fish.
question,
Great question, Ezra.
Right.
Josh?
you guys totally
Fishing.
misunderstand.
Fishing.
100% fishing.
All right. I would golf.
Oh, man.
But I like
Sarah.
fishing too. But I've got 2 boys, so we do all these things. And my daughter doesn't like any of it. Okay. Do some yard work or cook dinner?
Cook dinner any day. Yes, please.
No,
and thank you.
it would be yard work. Yeah.
Josh?
my.
I kind of into both of those. I don't know.
Okay.
Okay, pick one. Come on.
Okay, cook dinner. I
Okay.
guess we don't have a yard. So.
Hike the Grouse Grind or cycle to Cultus Lake?
Neither.
No, you gotta pick one.
Why would I hurt myself? Just that term, the grind.
Okay,
Yeah.
the Abbey Grind.
Ow.
Or
Ouch.
like an outdoor walk
Yeah,
with
this
a
is-
bit of an incline.
Oy.
Or cycle to Cultus Lake.
Maybe I'm tired even thinking about
Yeah,
it.
you are. You're
Yes.
like taking some deep
Yeah,
breaths.
yeah. Vic,
No, it'll be totally cycling. Yeah.
Cycling.
Actually, just last Sunday, Sandy and myself went for a
Where'd
good
you go?
cycle ride out to Sumas Prairie.
Good for
It was
you.
nice
I
out
will
there.
say this though.
What?
If it means hiking when you're going hunting, let's hike.
Oh,
That wasn't an option, but okay.
add the pieces to it as you
I've
will.
got one
Ezra.
more.
That's right.
I got one more. Fix an old car or learn a new instrument.
Fix an old car, yes.
Oh yeah,
please,
it
and
would be
thank
car.
you.
Yeah.
Old car, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I would learn a new instrument. But the reason I ask these questions is because today we're going to be talking about rest, recreation, relaxation, retirement. Sometimes those are all, well, the first 3 anyways, are summarized in the word leisure. But retirement, we kind of want to throw in there too. We're going to be talking about this today. And the reason why is because it's a part of our lives. Sometimes it's too much a part of our lives. Sometimes it's not enough in our lives. We want to know what the Bible has to say about it. But I also want to know what you guys have to think about it. And I've got a few activities here, and I want you to just quickly let me know if you think these are leisure activities, okay?
Sure.
Watching your kids or your grandkids or your friends' kids do activities, sports, concerts, dance recital.
Just
Is that
watching?
leisure? Just watching. You're not driving there. You're watching. Leisure? Yes or no?
Oh yeah, totally. I mean, I don't know what else that would be.
A
That would be leisure.
responsibility?
Yeah, I think it depends on your perspective. For
Okay.
me, that would be joy, delight, fun, exciting, no matter what they were doing, just because I just love my little grandkids. So,
I
yeah.
agree.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on how you define the term leisure. So,
okay,
yeah,
we're gonna get to
so-
that.
Yeah, we can talk about that then.
Oh,
I
we
don't
can talk
know.
about that
It
now.
depends.
That
It
is
depends.
helpful.
It depends on who's doing the activity. So if my son is in soccer, and I'm watching him play soccer, yeah, that's not leisure for me. I'm all into it.
Yeah.
Oh my,
Totally.
yes, I want him to play a certain way.
Adrenaline's going.
Oh, yeah.
blood's
Okay,
pumping.
but I
Yeah.
think you're talking about leisure as something more restful and relaxing.
Sure.
Okay.
Refreshing for me.
Okay, so watching a soccer game is not refreshing for you.
Again, it depends.
Okay. Okay.
It depends.
Going to the gym. Like working out.
It's not like it's in the word. It's in the name. Working.
Working. Okay. So not leisure.
No, I would say it's probably more of a good discipline, but not a leisure for me.
Okay. What if you were really into like rowing or kayaking or cycling? Would those be leisurely activities?
See, I think we would need to define what does Vic, what do you understand by the term leisure? And what do I understand about the term leisure? And it also, your definition of leisure probably is dependent on either your upbringing, your culture, the environment around you. What activity do you engage in that relaxes you and refreshes you?
But I think we can also have the
Right?
same
Yeah.
definition, but I can find something leisurely that you won't find leisurely.
Absolutely,
right?
yes.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like
Okay, so let's
puzzles.
talk
Okay.
about a few definitions or ideas around what leisure is, and
Sure.
then we can
And then we can unpack it, yeah.
unpack it a bit more. So, what are some things that leisure to any of you here would include?
Reading Narnia over and over again.
Okay. So it's something
Really?
you enjoy
Yeah,
doing.
that's
I
good,
think
yeah.
let's go underneath that. It's something
Yeah.
you would enjoy.
Right. Yeah.
It's an
Or
enjoyable experience.
Playing music, playing guitar, piano, that kind of stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
See, I'm a doer kind of guy. So, yeah, reading a book sometimes is more of a discipline for me. Going out and doing some work, building something for someone, going and helping somebody do some construction at their home. I find that leisurely because it's different from what I normally do, and so
Yes.
that is so helpful for me. It's restful, it's refreshing, all of that stuff. So
Yeah.
I'd say, yeah.
Yeah, so for me, leisure would include, what I would consider leisure activity for me would be if I go camping. And when we go camping, it's work. You're setting up camp, you're always cleaning up and thinking about that next meal, and the kids are running around, they go to the water, they come back and all that. I'm always cleaning and fixing dinner differently because you're cooking differently. You don't have all the things you need, conveniences that I have at home. But I find that very relaxing. Or last summer, I was able to build this intricate bunk bed for my daughters in their room with study tables at the bottom and ladders and different things.
And this was all off the top of your head. It wasn't a kit, I'm sure,
No,
Ezra.
it was not a kit. So
good for you,
I
buddy. Oh.
took a book, a plain piece of paper, and I drew the whole design, and I measured everything, and I bought the things, and I went to my garage, and I cut all the wood, and I built this from scratch, and joined it together, painted the whole thing, and set it up. I was so tired. It took me about a week to finish this thing, and I was exhausted at the end of every day. But I found that probably one of the most relaxing things I've done in a while.
Okay,
So
I'm
it
going to
was leisure for me.
suggest a definition here. See if
Go ahead.
those things that you all talked about fit in.
Sure.
Leisure is the growing time of the human spirit. So it's outside of your regular obligations. It provides the occasion for learning and freedom, for growth and expression, for rest and restoration, for rediscovering life in its entirety.
It's a lot of words.
It is. But it's got a lot of aspects. It has relaxation, it has enjoyment, it has personal development. Like there's some meaning attached to it.
Right.
It's not just frivolous.
Right. Yeah, I would agree with that definition. I think, and again, for different people, finding the goal there would be what is refreshing you,
Yeah.
what is rejuvenating you.
Yeah.
Would be the
So
deal.
can binging on Netflix be leisure?
I don't know. I don't know if I can say that.
Yeah.
I don't know if I can say that. So if I go home today and I begin to binge on a show on Netflix for 4 hours,
It's kind of like
Is that leisure?
Is scrolling on your Facebook feed
Right.
really leisure,
Is
or
it-
are you concerned about everything and you're not actually resting, right? Because you're just paying attention to what everybody's doing, or you're focused on your show, processing all that new information constantly.
I mean, the bigger question would be, is it rejuvenating?
Yeah.
Is it good for you?
Is it good for you? Is it
Yeah.
rejuvenating? Because some people may say, yeah, it totally refreshes me and relaxes me. Is it? Or is it just an addiction?
Yeah, or is it a coping mechanism because you don't want to
True.
Think about the rest of life.
I mean, for somebody else, like the hammock in the backyard, the ideal,
Yep.
thought of relaxation, going there and just having that nap, reading a book or whatever. For maybe somebody else, that would be refreshing, relaxing, all the rest. For me, I'd have a hammock there, but I wouldn't use it because to me, I don't find that as being that sense of, I don't know. I guess, again, we're all so differently made, right? And so what is going to inspire, refresh me is going to be so different from
Okay,
the
so
next
let me
guy.
ask this question
Okay.
then, to all of you. What kind of a holiday would you prefer? Would you prefer to go to somewhere warm, by the beach, nice sand, warm water, cool drinks and fun activities around for you, and yes, you're at the beach every day for 4 days, 5 days, whatever? Would you prefer that, or would you prefer to go on a tour, like you'd go to Boston and do the Freedom Trail, and you're learning history, and you're walking, and you're seeing the city, or you go to Prague and you see the history of Europe all there, and you're visiting different museums and things. So it's a walking deal. You come back to your hotel or inn, wherever you're staying, tired, only to do the next adventure again. So what kind of vacation would be most relaxing for you?
See, I would say both. I mean, in one sense, the time of relaxation is just the means of what you're going to do when you're on your vacation. So sometimes relaxation is the absolute best thing. The next time, I'm just so excited about being able to learn and find adventure and do all those things. So I would say it's both of those, but recognizing that at certain times in my life, there's times when it's nice to get away from work or from your environment, and no, I just need this time to refresh. And maybe that is grabbing a book or walking the beach or whatever, and spending time with your wife that maybe you've neglected a little bit because of responsibilities, and that can be an ideal thing. And other times, no, let's go find some adventure together. Let's go do something else.
How about I nuance that question a little bit? Would you prefer like a beach, like a really popular beach where you're surrounded by people, or like more of a solitude situation where it's like just you and the people close to you?
Oh yeah, no, I'd like the solitude.
Okay.
And then and walking for miles and miles, right?
Yeah.
So there's a physical activity involved with that, but also the aspect. Okay, we can stop and rest when we want to as well.
I think mine's changed over the years. When my kids were really quite young, we would go to our cabin with them, and that's my favorite place, but it would still be busy. I'm still doing laundry. I'm still cooking meals. I still had the ordinary routine, but I had my husband home not working. So that felt a little bit more like a holiday. But now we love to do more adventurous kind of travel, and being on a beach all day. We can go on a beach vacation, but we're still going to play tennis. We're still going to explore. We're still going to hike. We're still going to do other things. We're not that family that just that is restored by laying on the beach. Some people are restored by laying on the beach, and they need that. I needed that more when my kids were really little.
Yeah.
But it changes.
Yes.
It did for me anyways.
No, I agree. In some of these activities that we're talking about them doing them for ourselves. I mean, being able to do these with your spouse, right?
Yeah.
Playing tennis together with your husband. I mean, there's so much reward and fun in doing that, right? Going those long walks, doing those adventure things together. I mean, it's again, that's just so refreshing, and building into your relationship and all the rest that really helps just rest and restore you, right, as a couple. But it also, as you do it as a couple, it also restores you individually as well.
Yeah. I think a challenge for people now is that they either have too much of this in their life, or they don't have enough. Right? I see people struggle with the balance. What do you think, Ezra?
Maybe okay. So this probably a bit of that where people are struggling with balance, but I also think that people are not intentional about the kind of relaxation that most rejuvenates them.
I agree. That's kind of what I meant by they don't have enough of it. They're seeking pleasure. There's a lot of pleasure-seeking activities, but not that restoration or rejuvenation.
Right. There is a little bit of that, but I also think living in a culture in our day where Why do I want a better job that pays more money? So that I can do the better holidays, so that I can be as comfortable and as stress-free as I possibly can. And so some people will be like, hey, you're really stressed, you should go to Disneyland. Or you're really stressed, so you should go to California or go to Mexico or do a trip to Europe, whatever, to try and make yourself feel better. So the holiday is more therapeutic than it is refreshing. There may be underlying issues there that probably need to be addressed. The unfortunate thing, though, that I find, a lot of people have made the rest and relaxation, it has now become an idol. That is all you work for. So you're always looking forward to the next holiday, the next getaway, the next big trip. And if the big trip is not forthcoming, then you're always dragging your lip and just having a difficult time coping with the day-to-day. And in many cases, that now becomes idolatrous.
And I don't know if you guys have experienced this too, but I've had a vacation where it kind of just lasted a little bit too long, and it stopped being valuable. And I was just kind of like, oh, this is no longer, like, I'm done. I need to go back.
Yeah.
It stopped being worth anything for me.
I tell my kids that all the time when we're somewhere really fun and they don't want to go home. I said, this wouldn't be fun if we did this every day.
Yeah.
If you don't have, and this brings in another conversation about work and the value of work and your vocation, but leisure is tied to that in a way, because things wouldn't be leisurely. Yeah. You wouldn't need rest or relaxation if you weren't working.
Right, like Ezra's purpose in relaxation is from your work.
Yeah.
Right, but if it's not the end goal of all of our life is not just to relax.
I think we would have to, there's got to be like a theological understanding of rest and what the purpose of rest is. I think God has created us to be He has wired us to be beings that work. Like we work, you're productive, you get things done. There are people who work faster than others and so on. It's the issue is not the competition, but the issue is you're created to work. But then you're also commanded to pause. After 6 days of creation, God rested on the seventh day, and He made the seventh day holy. Now, the question is, why? Why does God call people to rest on the seventh day?
Well,
and what is the balance there? Yeah?
In the Old Testament, when he commanded them to rest, it was so that they remember everything that He has done.
Right.
It was a remembrance of them getting out of Egypt. And so the Sabbath and the constant remembrance of what God has done was to keep them focused. It was to keep them knowing that their provision, everything comes from the Lord.
Right.
And we're under a different kind of standard now in terms of how we're to understand the Sabbath. But I still think there's value in remembering and resting and knowing that everything you have and everything you do is all provided by God.
So you're saying that it's more for remembrance than for refreshment, our leisure time, would you say?
Well, I wouldn't necessarily take what the Sabbath was in the Old Testament and apply that purpose to us right now. I think there's value in us remembering, but leisure now, the purpose isn't necessarily to remember, but I think it's also to enjoy God's good gifts, the relationships in your life, creation, the hobbies that you enjoy, the things that you're good at.
Yeah.
You see, I think the way I view leisure personally would be, this is when I'm pausing from my day-to-day work, from my bread and butter tasks. I'm pausing, doing something different, but also appreciating the grace of God over my life. So it's this moments of appreciating what God has done, who He is and what He has done. Why? Because when I'm doing my bread and butter stuff, in many cases, for most of us, we tend to think that our jobs depend on us, and if we are not there to execute, then the whole thing falls apart. From a human perspective, we say, yeah, but where is God? God is sovereign. He's the one who has given us all that we have. He's the one who sustains all things. He's the one who gives. He's the one who takes away. So the success that we enjoy, yes, we worked hard, absolutely. But at the bottom, there are other people who work just as hard, if not harder, and they are not as successful as we are. It is God who grants us the success we enjoy and the money we make and the properties we have. God is the one who's blessing. Therefore, when we are relaxing and enjoying the income we made and enjoying the things that God has made, when you're building something, working on your yard, reading a book, touring Europe, whatever you're doing, I think there's got to be an intentional effort that we make, that we need to make, to remember to give thanks to the Lord for his goodness over us as we enjoy creation and as we enjoy other things that he has provided in life, I think.
Okay, I've got a question for you then,
Sure.
Ezra. So if it's not something you can actually be thankful to God for, is it something you should be doing?
I don't know if it is. That's a very good question. Let me nuance and then jump to your question. So, the thanking God for would be, our Thanksgiving is rooted on what we do. So our bread and butter and the success that we enjoy in our work. So when I'm in my leisure activity, I am looking back at my own day-to-day bread and butter. I'm at Cultus Lake camping, but I'm looking back. I live in Abbotsford and how God has blessed us to have this place and my
I
job and all
see.
that. So
Yep.
I'm thanking God about my life, even while I enjoy the scenery and the beach and the camping that I'm doing at Cultus, right? Now, to your question has to do with, now I'm at Cultus Lake camping. So if I cannot do what? Like,
I mean, cultus is an example where it's God's creation.
Right.
It's pretty easy to thank God for that. I'm thinking of specifically if you take a lot of joy in watching movies, or that's kind of where you find your restoration, and there's inappropriate stuff in those movies, can you really be thanking God for that?
That's a very good question. And I think that's where I come back and I say, many people, and I many times find myself in this situation. Am I as intentional about the kind of rest and relaxation that I will choose to engage myself into? So am I being intentional, or am I just being, it is almost, what's the word? Like, it's impromptu. Like I'm just,
Unintentionally?
yeah, it's just it's unintentional. It's almost like, hey, let's do this now, and now there we go. It's spontaneous is the word.
Yeah.
Which
So,
is actually valued,
yes,
but
there
it's maybe not valuable.
yeah. So there is some good things about being spontaneous, absolutely. But then the question would be, okay, was there any thought in? I mean, I could be spontaneous while I'm at Cultus Lake, but I was very intentional about going to Cultus Lake, and then I can be spontaneous in the activities I do when I'm there. But the question is, did I sit down and actually, was I intentional about, hey, this season we're going to go camping, and this is what we're going to do, or we're going to go to Europe, and this is what we're going to... So I was very intentional and purposeful about it. So I would say there are certain things like, okay, so I'm going to watch a movie, I'm going to do this, okay, is there something wrong with watching movies? I think obviously we would say be careful with what you watch out there. And I think you're seeing the cultural story. And there are very many movies that we would say they are Christian in that they have a Christian message, or they're asking a good worldview question that, yeah, you should watch. The poetry and the art, because they say something about culture, and they'll help you, the Christian, understand the culture and be able to engage it gospel. But not all movies are helpful.
Right. I love your word intentionality there, because I think so often it's easy for us to do life. I have a little quote in my Bible from way back in my Bible school days, is something about, Jesus went about doing good. And then the question, why am I so content with just going about? And so Jesus, what he did, he had an intention of doing the good work, proclaiming the gospel, showing his life. And yet sometimes we just do life. And for me, an example of that would be, it's great for us to have, family gatherings and stuff. And we can have them, and all of us can do a family gathering well. We can cook food well. We can interact well with relatives. Well, for the most part, right? There's always those few. But you can do that. But it's not just about us getting together, having a meal, celebrating something. It's also, this is how we can speak and encourage one another in the faith. But I find that I have to be intentional about doing that, thinking even before it begins, what am I going to do? How am I going to encourage my family? How am I going to encourage them in their faith walk? How am I going to, come about with some kind of an idea to teach the grandkids or whatever it is? But it's being intentional in doing that,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So I think in all the things, like you said, Ezra, in being intentional in how we go about doing life, those leisure activities. Oh, good, it's going to be so refreshing. But what else am I going to do that's going to help me grow in my walk with Christ through this?
Or you could add and just say, in what ways do we worship God in how we live our lives, be it during times of vacation? So right now we are in the thick of things, we are all working, but at some point, July, August is coming, so we'll take some weeks there to go vacationing. So in what way will we be worshiping God as we vacation, traveling to different places, visiting relatives, going up country, wherever you'll be this summer? How are you worshiping God in the activities of leisure that you and your family will be engaged in would be the question. Yeah. And are we being intentional about planning and thinking of ways, like you say, Vic, thinking of ways in which we can model before those around us, be it kids or adults, model what a true Christian, how your life is all worship before God, even though you're having fun and enjoying an ice cream or wading on water, walking on a beach, whatever you'll be doing.
Yeah, I think, a picture comes to mind of someone who gets really upset when their vacation time doesn't go like they planned it to.
Right.
And it like that, I think, is an indication of where your hope is in your vacation. Is my hope to honor God regardless of what happens? Or am I being kind of like, this is all about me,
The
getting
schedule
my time
I have.
back? Yeah.
And there's that balance of being intentional, having plans, kind of planning things out in a way that you think is going to be best. But
But you see, the thing is, the thing would be for such a person who gets very upset about a holiday that didn't turn out as they had intended. They spend all this money, but it didn't give them the joy, the pleasure, the satisfaction they were seeking. The question would be, was that an idol then?
Right.
You are hoping for this thing to give you joy that only God can give you, but this thing obviously did not deliver, but you spent a good chunk of change to engage. And that's why I say, for many people, in some cases, we view the holiday as it's almost idolatrous.
Yeah, it's the end. Like the holiday itself, that's the end.
And the joy that I'll get if I only went to Maui.
Yeah, totally.
okay,
Yeah.
I have
hang on.
you have one
But
more.
they're talking about my golf game here. I go out with great expectation, pay a lot of money for this leisure time,
then you're
and then totally blow
disappointed.
it. And then, okay. All right, move on, Sarah.
No, I have this quote, and I want to know what you guys think about this. We worship our work, we work at our play, and we play at our worship. I'll say it again. We worship our work, we work at our play, and we play at our worship. And this is
That's very interesting.
Yeah. Do we do this, and is this wrong? Should we worship our work? As Christians, we would say no. What does it mean to work at our play? Are we trying too hard? Have we made it? Yeah, I don't know necessarily what that means. And we play at our worship, meaning we don't take it seriously enough.
Or it's all about the entertainment you
The
get
entertainment part of it, yeah.
And I think the idea of we work at our play could be we put so much energy and effort in our place because we are seeking a whoosh. To receive this whoosh. Oh, if only I went there and things went this way, then I'll be so happy. I would be so this and that and the other.
And we're working so hard to get the perfect Instagram picture.
Right, right, and the perfect selfie. And
Tulip
all that.
Festival.
And- Yes,
The
so
Tulip
we work so hard.
It's over, though. It's over.
Right.
The Tulip
Every
Festival's
year,
over.
The highway's backed up to both exits.
And Instagram is flooded with the
Yeah.
tulip pictures.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we work at our play, trying to do that.
Right.
I think we worship our play too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh
Like-
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I
Because
think,
it's all about the play.
Yeah, it really is.
It's all about the play.
But I think we judge individuals based off of their work. Like it's just a cultural thing that we do around here. Is like, hi, my name's Josh. I
you
work
do,
at Northview.
Josh? Yeah.
And what's your name and what do you do? And that's my conception of you is based off of your name and your job.
Yeah, but now that is if I met you the first time.
Yeah.
But if now you and I in community, it's kind of like, so I'm going to Maui on holidays.
Yeah.
So it's
Ooh, I've been there.
Yeah.
you have been
Yeah.
there, and when you go there, you have to go. And Vic has never been, or maybe he's always thinking of being, but he's never been there because he loves going up to Prince George to hang out with family there.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of like it's people trying to one up each other
Right.
on where they've been
Yeah.
or where they've not been and things like that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I definitely think it's real, but I think we emphasize work a little bit more than play. Because we have like a lot of you could call them mantras. We have is like you do you, treat yourself. It's like whatever makes you happy. Like as long as you're making yourself happy, that's
So
what
if
we want.
work is being worshipped, it's for an end means, and that in our culture, it's often for retirement, and this drive to retire with money, right? Like Vic, you work with a lot of the seniors here at Northview.
Now, you're not asking me this question
not
because I
asking
just
you
happen to be the
because-
oldest person in this
No,
room.
no, not
and
at
I'm
all.
about 2 years away from retirement. You could have just thrown that question out, I'm sure.
No, but you just informed everybody of that, so that actually gives you quite a bit of clout, right?
Yes. So
What are your thoughts on retirement?
on retirement, well, I know I've had some conversations, and obviously Sandy and myself have been talking. What does that look like for us? And like I said before, I'm a do-it kind of guy. One of the things I've always thought, and from way back, I'm not going to retire. I'm just going to maybe slow down as I get to the age that maybe I'm not as capable anymore. And I think that word capable is what I'm seeing. So the role that I'm in, how am I fulfilling that role? And am I continuing to do it? I don't want to be somebody that continues on. And okay, we really wish Vic would get out of here, right? We need somebody else in there. But I'm going to do it because I feel that God's called us there, but then I still have the affirmation of my colleagues around me saying, Vic, keep going. You know, we appreciate what you do. We need you here, whatever. So, but what does that retirement look like? Well, then possibly that's slowing down. I mean, I have to admit, yes, it's very conscious on my mind. So where are my RRSPs at, you know, and what the retirement's going to look like, and I'm going to have sufficient income coming in, and all of those things, and they can become very much an idol to me, you know. Boy, are we going to have enough? All those kind of things, right? And they become very, very important, whereas before it was just, well, we throw money into the bank, and hopefully at some time it's going to actually come out and be something
and be
that'll
enough to sustain you while you're not employed.
Right.
Yeah.
So retirement is something that I would look. I want to finish well in what I do, and so. And also continue to find places that God, I don't think God has finished using the giftings in me yet. And I'm not just talking about here at church, but there's other things that I've enjoyed in life and ministry things that I've enjoyed. I love doing mission trips. I love working in children's ministry, so still speaking at camps or going on more mission trips, so those kind of things. So it may not be sitting across the table, you know, in an old folks home talking to somebody else. It may be doing something totally different than what I'm doing now. But I want to continue in being involved in those kind of things. That still, you know, give enjoyment, and a person can be effective.
Because you're not
in that.
retiring from being a Christian,
Yeah.
right? Like that
Exactly.
work, your gifts are still needed for the body and for the church.
And when I look long term at family, God's call for us as being leaders of our home as a fella, as a grandpa, I realize that my children still need me desperately. Well, they probably don't think so, but I think that I have things that I can equip and encourage them in their walk with. I want to be so intentional in my grandkids' life. I want them to know who Jesus is. I want them to accept Jesus. I want to them to follow Jesus. So whatever Sandy and myself are doing to create that kind of environment, we want to keep doing that. So that doesn't stop at retirement. That for us, that probably determines what our retirement looks like. Whether that means, okay, maybe we're not considering South as much as maybe some will, because we see an investment right here that we really need to deposit into.
Yeah. So does leisure look different when you're retired from your employment?
Employment-wise, yeah, like I said before, probably backing off and moving away from the salaried position, but not in terms of involvement
be
in
some
ministry.
meaningful kind of work.
You bet.
Yeah,
You
that
bet.
happens.
See, I think for those who are listening and who are contemplating retirement, or those who already are, and maybe some who are like me in their mid-40s thinking, okay, so I only have 15 or 20 more years before I get to that retirement age. from a Christian perspective, I like what you said, Sarah. You're not retiring from being a Christian. You're always going to be Christian until the day you pass on and you go to glory.
Yeah.
I think enjoying retirement and traveling and seeing things and giving thanks for what you've been able to achieve and build through your working years is a good thing. I think we need, it could also be like worship, in the sense that, my goodness, look at how far God has brought us. So you and your spouse, if your spouse is still alive and would be with you, you can look back and say, when we began, we had nothing. We only had ourselves and just a few dollars in our account. And look at the kingdom that God has blessed us and enabled us to build. Mm-hmm. So enjoying the good things that God has given us is vital. It's good. It's worship. Enjoy it. God is the one who's given it to you. However, I'd also go as far as saying, again, being intentional about, okay, so now how are you going to continue building the kingdom of God and passing on the baton of faith to the ones who are behind you? Mm-hmm. As you age gracefully. And I think the latter is something that quite a number of people are not thinking about intentionally. So they would think, hey, I'm retired, so I'm just going to stay at home, maybe take care of my grandkids a little bit here and there. Then we're going to tour Mexico, we're going to go here, we're going to do that. So it's all about the holiday, but there's never a gospel engagement where people are, what am I doing with the time I now have for the kingdom of God? Now, I may not be as fast as I was when I was in my 30s, for sure. And I may not be able to volunteer forever. Yeah, absolutely. You can only give so many hours. That's great. And you're going to enjoy sometimes. Great. But in what way are you building the kingdom of our Lord, even as you gracefully age? Mm-hmm. And that's the intentionality that I would say the gospel is always pushing us to partner with one another in the gospel. And that's basically Philemon, what we are preaching through, verse 4 to 7, particularly verse 6, where Paul is telling Philemon, partner with us in the faith. What does that mean? And I think that doesn't just apply to the young people. It also applies to those who have gone before, who are older, who are retiring or have retired already. Mm-hmm, in what way are you partnering in the faith with other Christians with the time that you now have? That is assuming that you did well and God blessed, and you now no longer need to go and get supplementary income elsewhere.
Right. I think that we said before intentionality was a key term. I think another one is tension. I think there should always be a tension in our life. Sure, we can go and enjoy our holidays and enjoy this leisure time, and especially thinking of the retirement aspect. But then I also have another responsibility in my Christian faith of being able to pass that on. So the tension of I can, but maybe I shouldn't. Yeah. So that back and forth that needs to go, and that's, I think, just a common understanding in our Christian life. How much should I give? How much should I stay for myself? How much time do I invest in here? How much time do I give back to my church? All that tension should always be there in our life, in our Christian walk.
And I think what we should stay away from is making a law and make it legalistic. I think each person should decide in his own heart how much they should give. Yeah.
How long they should go to California for every winter, all those things.
Not under compulsion, but what you give with a cheerful heart. And with always the question, how much, what does the gospel mean to you? And then you give to that extent. And some person may say, you know what, I'll be volunteering. I'll be now working for a non-Christian organization. A Christian organization, volunteering there 35 hours a week. And Vic may say, you know what, I can only give 5 hours a week this week. The person giving 30 hours and Vic giving 5, the question is, what's the attitude there? So again, each person just decide, obviously enjoy what God has enabled you to build and amass through the years. Absolutely. But there's also a gospel call.
For sure. And that tension should be there even before retirement, when you're going, how much time should I spend on my leisure activity versus serving at my church versus caring for my family or going to work, all those things. So it was a great discussion, guys. We did not solve the problems that we all have around maybe balancing.
But I'm relaxed.
Time.
How about you, Ed?
This was-
You
Oh,
good?
yeah.
Okay.
This was leisurely for me, actually.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
This was work for me. You should see I'm sweating right now. No, I mean, we could end by telling people, you enjoy your summer.
Yeah.
And in your enjoying of your summer, worship God.
Yeah, James tells us that every good and perfect gift
Yeah.
comes from God.
Worship
and we need
God.
to
Worship
be
God in
thankful.
your enjoying.
Right on. Or
Enjoying
consider
the
God in all
lake,
things.
enjoy the travels, enjoy the staying at home and maybe doing your yard, whatever you'll be doing, worship the Lord, enjoy it, but also give thanks that the Lord has given you the ability to pause from your work and get some time to get away and just pause for a minute.
Okay,
Amen. Yeah.
so that's all we're going to say about rest, relaxation, recreation, and retirement. But if you have questions for the podcast, email us extra@northview.org, and we can talk about this again sometime. So thanks for joining us. Have a great week.